Namaste everyone. If you're watching this video, it's because 1, you're new to yoga, and 2, because you're not new to yoga but you would like to come back to the basics. So here I'm going to cover the fundamental questions about the practice, which are what, where, how, who, when. So we start from the beginning. What and where? Yoga is an ancient practice that originated in India 26,000 years ago. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yug, which means union. Union of what? Union of the body, the mind, and the spirit. And when I said spirit, I refer to the simply state of being. The next question will be how. How do we practice yoga? Well, the best way to practice yoga is trying to understand its essence. So I kind of broke it down in 3 components. One is own the practice. The second component is don't make anything out of the practice. And the third component is listen to your body. Let's dive into them. The first component, own your practice. Understanding that yoga is not a competition, that is your practice, is your own practice. That gives you the freedom to really be able to be yourself, go as deep as you feel comfortable with, and enjoying the practice without caring who's watching or how other people are doing it. So that's very important for you to understand when you begin your yoga practice. It doesn't matter because it's not about others, it's all about you and the practice. So that it's what it means owning your own practice. The second component, don't make anything out of the practice. And that can be very simple and yet very complex. It is simply to understand that yoga is not a perfection. That you don't have to be nothing. You don't have to dress in any specific way. You don't have to own any specific props in order for you to be able to practice yoga. You don't have to be perfect. I get a lot of people that ask me or tell me, better said, oh, I don't do yoga because I'm not flexible. And that's just not the right reasons to not do yoga, because yoga is here to help you. Again, it's your practice. So since you own your practice, it's here to help you. So the second component will be just remembering that yoga is not a perfection and it has to be nothing. You don't need a mat if you're at home, and if you have a rug, if you have a floor, it doesn't matter the conditions. You can always do the practice. You can always find a way. You can always have different variations of every yoga pose. And the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get at it, like everything else in life. So remember, yoga is not a perfection. The third component is listening to your body. And that has to do with the meaning of yoga, which is the union of the body, mind, and spirit. So if we think about listening to our minds, we already know how to do that, and we do it more than what we should. And that's why we run into trouble. So we gotta go back and start listening to the body as well. So how do we do that? How do I listen to my body? The body is constantly talking to us, letting us know when things are not going well, letting us know when things are going well. But we lack that connection. We're not as connected as we are with the mind. Therefore, the practice of yoga helps you to balance those 3. How do we listen to our body? Simply connect the breath with your movement. So when you're doing the practice of yoga, any asana, any pose, just make sure that your movement is linked with your breath. For example, you inhale, you bring the arm up. Once the inhalation stops, you hold it. And then as you exhale, you bring it down. That helps me to bring awareness and be able to be present to listen to what the body has to say. To listen how much is too much. To listen if I'm not overstretching a pose. To listen if, oh my God, this feels good and I'm actually opening up and releasing tension from muscles or even emotions inside my body. The beauty about this is as we listen to the body through the breath represents the spirit. Remember I told you that when I talk about the spirit, I was referring more into the state of being. Every time we connect to our breath, we come back to this moment. We become present. We become fully aware. So as we listen to the breath, to start listening to the body, we already listening to the spirit. And we already know how to listen to the mind. And that's when those three come together. And then once they come together, they work in balance. So it's not an overloading on the body. It's not an overloading on the mind. It's a simply beautiful balance between the three. And that helps us to stay healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Now, who can practice? Who can practice yoga? Another beautiful part of this wonderful practice is anybody, everybody. It doesn't matter. Yoga accommodates to you. So there's plenty of variations for all the poses of yoga, and the environments, you can actually make the environment optimal for you to practice. So again, anybody and everybody can practice yoga. And now we're in the last fundamental question, when? And I say to you, what about now? Are you ready to practice? What we're going to learn now as a beginner of yoga is the SURYA NAMASKARA, which is translating to sun salutations or simply the warm-up of yoga. So these asanas, which means poses, are going to help you to prepare your body for all the other poses that come. So it's very important that before every yoga practice, every core yoga practice or core poses, you do at least from 3 to 5 rounds of the sun salutations or SURYA NAMASKARA that I'm going to teach you today. So we're going to begin on the first pose, which is called mountain pose. And it's a standing pose. So everybody stand up. So the first pose is called mountain pose. And as the word said, you want to stand like a mountain. You want to feel like a mountain. You want to make your body like a mountain. In Sanskrit word, mountain pose is called Tadasana. And I'm going to be using both. I'm going to be using English and I'm going to be using Sanskrit so you get familiar with both. Sanskrit is simply the yoga language. So Tadasana, mountain pose. Your feet are together. But the idea of this pose is for you to feel grounded. So if by putting your feet together, you feel like you're not really grounded, feel free to space them out a little bit. But what's the a little bit? 4 fingers apart. Make sure that your feet are not widely spread, not wider than 4 fingers. How do you do that? Make 4 fingers with your hands and simply measure the distance of your feet. Now, your legs are fully extended. There's something that is a common mistake for people because they do it on a daily basis unconsciously, and it's overextending the legs, doing this movement. See the difference? You're going to try to avoid that and create the habit to not do it anymore because it's very harmful for your hamstrings, for your tendons and ligaments. So if it feels not natural to stay in this pose, you can even slightly bend your knees. I'd rather you to slightly bend them than overextend them. Ground your feet. Keep your tailbone neutral. You don't want it all the way out. You don't want it all the way in. You want it neutral, right in the middle. Now your shoulders, upper body. Some of us tend to have a lot of weight on the shoulders and have that bad posture. That's why you're going to bring your shoulders up. You're going to draw them back and then drop them down. Arms along the side of your body. You're going to look towards the front. And you are in mountain pose, Tadasana. Connect to the breath. Remember, we listen to our bodies by connecting to our breath. So we avoid any harm. Now we're going to move on into the next pose of the SURYA NAMASKARA. Those are the ones that we're going to learn. So we're going to inhale, bring both arms up. You're going to swing your arms up. And as you bring in your arms up, you're going to start bringing the hips towards the front. So you lean back and you put the palms together over your head. Go as far as your body allows you to go. And now slowly go down. Uttanasana, forward bend. You're going to swing your arms all the way down to the floor. Now, if you reach the floor, you can put your fingertips on the floor. You can put the palms on the floor. You can grab the back of your ankles. If you cannot reach the floor, it's okay. When I started my practice, this is as far as I could go. And then eventually I built my way down to be able to reach the floor. But that takes time because it's creating the flexibility on the hamstrings, the back of our knees, and the lower back as well. So, be very patient with yourself. Remember, own your practice. It's not a competition, and it's not a perfection, and we listen to our bodies. Remember the 3 components. So, from here, Uttanasana, forward bend. If you cannot reach the floor, simply, you can rest your hands on your legs. You can rest them behind your legs. I like to grab the back of my legs because it helps me to at least give me the sensation that my chest is getting closer to my legs. But it's up to you what you want to do. Again, if you just slightly reach, I don't want you to force reaching the floor and bending the knees. There's no need. You'd rather just place your hands on your legs. Uttanasana, forward bend. You're going to try to look at your knees and just breathe. Now from here, you're going to go into Ardha Uttanasana, which is flat back in English. Your toes are in line with your fingers, or better say your fingers are in line with your toes. And then keeping both legs straight, you're going to lift your chest and look to the front. Now, like Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana in this form can be pretty challenging. So if you cannot reach the floor, all you do as the Ardha Uttanasana variation or flat back variation, place your palms on your shins and just look to the front. But try not to overextend, or if you're bending the knees, just make sure it's slightly bent, not too much. And breathe. Relax your shoulders, bringing them back, creating a space between your head and your shoulders. Breathe. Take a deep breath in here. And as we breathe out, let's go back to Uttanasana, forward bend. Again, I like to grab the back of my legs. Let's move on into the next pose. Your hands will be on the floor for this one. Everybody's hand. So for that, feel free to bend your knees, because this is a transition. I'm going to walk towards the front of the mat because I'm going to need space. So my hands are on the mat, so I bend my knees so they reach. And I bring the right foot back one big step here. Getting into a runner's lunge, equestrian pose, or in Sanskrit, Ashwasanchalanasana. Now, one thing that you should know is feel free to drop your knee so you have more support. Now, here's when some of the props can come to play if you have them. You can use blocks to make your arms higher. If you don't have blocks, you can use books. You can use anything that you feel that can actually support your body. If you don't have blocks, you can definitely just put your fingertips on the floor, whatever you reach. The front knee should be 90 degrees, the knee right over your ankle. Your front foot has to be in the middle of your hands, in the same line that your hands are. So if you find yourself in this pose, but with your foot back, do not walk with your hands to meet your foot, but rather walk with your foot to meet your hands. And then we'll lift the back knee if you want to, or keep it on the floor. I'm going to do it. And then the back heel pushes back. And as I lower my hips, I can lift my chest and look to the front. Breathe. This is runner's lunge, Ashwasanchalanasana, or also known as equestrian pose. From here, I'm going to bring that front foot back to meet the right. I'm going to drop the knees to the floor. Going on to the next pose of the SURYA NAMASKARA. Your toes are tucked in, your knees are on the floor, and your hands are on the floor. Now I need 2 more points. This is called 8-point salute. I already have 2, 4, 6. I need 2 points, which are my chest and my chin. So only your chest and chin go down in contact with the floor. Your abdomen is away from your mat, and your elbows are close to the torso. Slide your body. This is a Sanskrit pose, Ashtanga Namaskar. Now my body's on the ground. I slide my body. The top of my feet are on the floor, and my palms on each side of my torso. Elbows, always keep them close to your torso. That helps you to engage the muscles of your back. As we press the palms, we lift the chest halfway onto what we call baby cobra or bhujangasana. Squeeze your glutes so the top of your feet can remain on the floor. Relax your shoulders, bringing them back. And breathe. Remember, you're always breathing so you can link the breath with the movement and avoid to get hurt, and learn how to listen to the body. Now slowly let's go down, release the pose. We tuck the toes under, and we have a few options here. We come up onto table pose, which the knees are on the floor, and from here onto downward facing dog, or from there we automatically come up onto downward facing dog. Now our downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, this is a little bit more complex. Your fingers are going to be spread. Let's start from the upper body. My palms and fingers are going to push the mat away so I can extend my arms fully, relax my shoulder, and help my chest to get closer to the mat. My head, I'm going to say yes and no with my head, making sure I'm not putting tension there. And I'm going to look towards my knees. Now my tailbone, my back is straight now. My tailbone is up, but my heels should be pushing towards the mat. It's okay if they don't reach, but you make sure that you're always pushing your heels towards the mat. And breathe. From here, let's shift the weight of the body onto a pose that some of you may know, which is called plank pose. So we're going to shift the weight of the body. So my arms are fully extended, the fingers are spread, my shoulders are right over my wrist. My body is perpendicular to the floor. My heels are pointing towards the floor, pushing so I keep my legs engaged. I squeeze my glutes, engage my core. My arms and core are shaking. That means I'm doing great. Santolanasana, plank pose. Let's go into Chaturanga. Another challenging pose. It's half a push-up basically. So as I bend my elbows, keeping them close to the torso, I lower my body to the floor. From here, I'm going to go into a king cobra, a variation of cobra that is deeper stretch. Rolling my body up, top of my feet on the floor, extend my arms fully, shoulders back, look up. King Cobra, Bhujangasana. Let's tuck the toes under. Inhale and exhale again onto downward facing dog. Now I'm gonna go back to the front of my mat to start the sequence on my other leg. There's 3 ways to do that. 1 is walking towards the front. The second way, it's slightly bend my knees, and from down dog, I jump towards the front, hop my legs without making noise. I land. And the third option is from downward facing dog, bring the right leg or left leg up and back and swing it to the front, swing the other one to the front, and come back to the front of my mat. Let's do the flat back again. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms up, all the way up. Lean back, hips to the front, palms together over the head. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. Very good. Now we're going to do the same. I'm going to go a little faster because I already gave you the instructions. And then after we do the other side, I want you to do the same sequence on both legs 3 more times on your own. Ready? Okay, let's do it together. Mountain pose. Inhale, bring both arms up. Lean back, hips forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, bring the left foot back. I did the right before, so I'm doing the left. My right knee is 90 degrees. I lower my hips, look to the front. Now bring my foot back, plank pose. Drop my knees, chest and chin onto 8-point salute. Slide the body, baby cobra. Palms off the mat, engage the muscles of your back. Bring your palms down, tuck your toes under, and let's go into our downward facing dog. Lift your tailbone, drop the heels, extend your arms. Now from here, let's shift the weight of the body onto plank. And from plank pose, we go into chaturanga. Slowly down. Roll the body up, king cobra. Inhale, exhale onto downward facing dog. And now we walk back to the front of the mat. I'd rather walk this time. Inhale, arms up, all the way up, lean back. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Very nice. Now it's your turn to do the same sequence. Remember, 1 leg, then the other leg 3 times. Namaste.